day, YouTube. I'm Daniel Claremont. I'm the Acadian therapist. First off, I want to thank the folks that have shared and that have subscribed and that have given me some feedback. It's been very, very helpful. And it blows me away a little bit that this many people have supported my little mission here to try to give some different mental health tips and education. And that with that support, we're really helping to get the word out and hopefully doing some good. So I'm really grateful for the faith, and I'm going to keep on going. So today I'm wearing one of my favorite shirts. It makes me laugh. It is kind of fun. It's kind of silly, and it also makes me a thorough hypocrite, because what we're going to talk about today is comparison and how we compare ourselves to other people, where that comes from, and why that is often something that causes a lot of our own suffering, and it makes life harder than it actually needs to be. So those are my humble goals for this little episode. So we're going to get to it. So I'm going to begin by sharing a bit of a story. Well, just a little bit of a story, because I think the person that shared the story originally, her name is Brene Brown. I have mentioned her before. Most folks, by the time they've come to my video, hopefully you have come across her, but rest assured, I'll be linking to some of her videos below. But more specifically, she had shared a story about, she had this experience when she was at a conference, and she was speaking at this conference, and she's basically stuck with this person who is extremely ignorant. I'm not going to spoil the story. I believe she does talk about it in a video. I'm going to try to find it. If not, it is in her book, the latest one that I've read, which was Rising Strong. So I do recommend picking that up, even in audiobook format. So she talks about this very ignorant person. She gets very, very frustrated. Brene gets very frustrated. And Brene talks to her own therapist, and she's venting and talking about this incredibly ignorant and terrible, terrible human being as far as Brene is concerned. And her therapist is serene and calm. And she says very kindly, "Do you think this person was doing the best that they can?" Brene Brown responds with language that I won't use on my channel, but basically she disagrees and says, no, of course not. She's ignorant. And she asks her therapist, do you think that she was doing the best that she can? And her therapist reflected and said, yes, in general, I think people do the best that they can. And so Brene describes this as a heck of an insight, and she actually does research on it. She talks to the people in her research who she describes as the wholehearted, the people who are happier, more fulfilled, and healthy relationships. And you guessed it, most of these folks had the belief that people do the best that they can. Now, bit of a sidebar on this. I'm getting to it. A bit of a sidebar on this. This is not meant to excuse or permit abusive behavior in any way. So we can practice this belief that people do the best that they can, be that your partner, be that your parents, be that your kids, and still also be really frustrated and maybe needing to take some very strict measures to protect yourself against some of those behaviors. Because nobody deserves to be abused or to tolerate abuse. So that is a very important point. Yet part of healing, and I would almost recommend this as a daily practice for folks. So many folks that have worked with me know that I'm very fond of the Tiny Habits model. I will be doing a video up on it soon. But for now, just being able to practice a daily recognition that, when you're noticing some frustration, noticing some irritation about maybe that ignorant person in the grocery store, or that person that's not self-isolating after COVID or what have you, trying to remind yourself that maybe they're doing the best that they can. Even if it's somebody that's, driving 20 kilometers an hour on Stars Road when everybody knows that the speed limit is 50, and sometimes that can be testing of the patience. Anyway, sometimes it is very hard to practice this stuff, especially when we are irritated, when we're out of our window of tolerance or we're on the edge of our window of tolerance. It is hard to bear in mind that people are doing the best that they can. And why do we want to do this? Doesn't it just give people permission to walk all over us? Well, go back and revisit the part about abuse. We don't deserve abuse. We should not put up with abuse. That's not what I'm saying. But there's something very important that when we practice this, are other people doing the best that they can? There's a trickle-down effect. Because if they are, maybe you are too. And most of us have practiced a not good enough vibe, an unworthy vibe. We're not worthy of love. We're not as good as that skinny person or that popular girl or that colleague that seems to always have their paperwork done on time, or those parents on Facebook. And yes, by the way, social media, don't believe any of it. Everybody's just putting forward a very unrealistic, they spend forever trying to get the perfect lighting for that picture, that selfie, or they share the beautiful memories that they had, or the incredibly productive time that they had during COVID when maybe you struggled to get out of bed for days and you couldn't even get out of your own way. We all carry this not good enough story that is based on the lies that we see around us, the unrealistic standards, the media. I mean, who becomes movie stars? Who becomes celebrities? Who become rock stars? Are the people that are attractive, the people that are of a certain age or a certain weight, on and on. Lots of ways we compare and we say we're not good enough. Now, if we accept that we are doing the best that we can, and they are doing the best that they can, and everyone is flawed, and we all have room for growth. This doesn't mean that we give up our goals. It doesn't mean that we abandon the idea that we're going to make a difference or we're going to become more successful. We can have those goals. We can pursue it without just whipping ourselves on a regular basis about not being good enough, not driving forward, not pushing. Our society really pushes that narrative that you need to always be pushing hard. You always need to be trying. And sure enough, let's take sports. We see that. Well, they wanted more. The other team, they wanted it more. They pushed harder. They worked harder. Now, yes, in a sport, in a video game, in a board game, whatever it is, there's an element. You got to want to win. You have to be invested and push forward. But the people that seem to be happiest is when they know to leave it on the field, so to speak. So they put forward the best effort, and then at the end of the day, they know they put forward their best effort. Win or lose, they put forward their best effort. So when you have that pride, it's not pride, sorry. Let's call it self-confidence. So just recognizing that you did well, you put forward your best effort, you can pat yourself on the back. That is not BS. That is real. That is genuine. You are doing the best that you can. Other people are doing the best that they can. This brings to mind another thing that I'll often bring up with clients. Clients of mine will know that I'm a bit of a nitpicker for language. And if I'll say, I don't know, let's say they did their house cleaning that day. And I say, oh, well done. It sounds like you're achieving your goals. And people will say, well, I'm trying. I'll jump in and say, are you trying or are you doing? Are you accomplishing? Because if you're always trying, you're always failing a bit. You're never quite there. So if we say that you're doing, well, that's very, very different. So at the end of the day, when you're tired, or if you're having one of those days, you just don't have the same energy, or you have a bit too much stress, or things just aren't going your way, You can take a few breaths. You can ground yourself. You're all sick of hearing me talk about that by now. And unfortunately, you're going to keep hearing about it because that's how your nervous system works. You ground yourself. You remind yourself, am I doing the best that I can? That there's going to be natural ups and downs. There's going to be that flow. We're going to talk more about that as well. But just for now, just say, I'm doing the best that I can. Take some of that pressure off your shoulders. It gets you a little bit less agitated. And then you're better able to focus. You're able to think and evaluate. Now, how can I do better? And then you're able to think more clearly and actually move towards that. If, on the other hand, you continue with the not feeling good enough part, that's where you build on a feeling of shame, which Brene Brown also talks an awful lot about. Arguably, that is what she's best at talking about. And we're going to talk some more about that later. For now, thank you so much for following. Again, I hope you'll try that regular practice every day. You're doing the best that you can. Celebrate that a little bit. Don't throw yourself a party. You just say, yeah, I'm doing the best that I can, and that's good. Especially in times of stress. That's probably the best thing you can do. All right, I'll stop talking. Thank you so much again for joining me. We will see you again next time. Take care.